Hi, this is Lee Garrett, and welcome to another edition of Screencasts Online. Today we're going to continue our coverage of an application that we looked at in video 1057, and that's Amplenote. Now, Amplenote is essentially a note-taking application, but takes its premise further by acting as a platform for processing ideas from inception to completion. Now, in the first video, we looked at the first two elements of this process, which were jots and notes. And today we're going to complete our coverage by looking at tasks and the calendar. Now, if you haven't looked at part one, I do recommend that you take a look at that video before viewing this one, just to ensure that you understand the concept of the application and also some various functions that we won't be looking at today. So we're in the task section at the moment, and when you first use Amplenote, you'll see that there are lots of default tasks in here by default, all of which are designed to give you an insight into a particular feature of the application. So this top one here tells us how to sort the list into the most important and urgent tasks. And to confirm the task is complete, I'll simply click this checkbox on the far left. Now here we're told we can click the expander button at the right to configure the task properties. Again, I'll check this off. I'm just going to pause now and clear these so that we have a clean slate to work from. Okay, the tasks are now checked off and we have none here. Now, an important concept to understand at the outset is that whilst this is the task section of the application, this is not where the tasks are created. Pay close heed to this here. It says no tasks found, and that's because tasks are contained within your notes, and this task section simply collates all of these tasks across all of your notes into one simple view. So I'm now going to create a new note for the purpose of this. I'll click New Note. And I'll give this note a name. We'll call it Home Maintenance. And I'll give it a couple of tags. And this is going to be important for your overall task system. And I'll cover why towards the end of this section. For now, I'm going to tag it with a new tag, which is To Do. And another new one. So this will be Home. Now, if I click in the body of the note, I can start typing some tasks in. So we have two options here. One is to start typing 2 square brackets and then press space. I'll just delete. And then the other way is to click the task icon here in the formatting bar and then type in the name of the task. I'll press enter. Then I'll type in another one. Okay, that's 2 tasks in now. And if I go across 2 tasks, I can see those 2 tasks now appear in this tasks view. Right, I'm going to come up to notes here and click new note just so that I can add a couple of tasks here and show them appearing in our task view. So this one will be called Business Maintenance. And I'm going to give this one 2 tags as well. So To Do. And then the other one this time will be Business. Now let's come down and put a couple of tasks in here as well. So we'll have Send Out Invoices. Press Enter. And then we'll prepare a quote for Client A. Okay, back across 2 tasks. And now we can see that we have 4 different tasks here that are spread across 2 different notes. So that's the basics of adding a task into Amplenote and understanding that this view simply collates existing tasks rather than adds new ones. Let's take a look at the details of the tasks themselves. Now, if I hover over to the far right of this task name here, we can see 3 icons appear, and these give us the ability to quickly configure a task property without having to go into the task details. So this first one is hide, which means that the task will disappear from view until a certain date, very much like the defer date option in OmniFocus. And I love this feature because it limits the amount of noise that you have in front of you. If a task can't be done yet, then why should it interfere with your view of the ones that can be? This can be distracting. Next, we can set a start date for the task, when you're going to begin it. And then on the right, we have the ability to set its priority and urgency quickly. Now, if I click the expansion button here, all 3 of those options are configurable here as well. So let's run through all of these task settings quickly. So at the top here, we have the ability to make the task a repeating task. If I click the drop down, aside from not repeating at all, there are 2 repeat options available. So the first is to repeat on a fixed schedule. So that could be every day, every week, every second Thursday, for example. And then the bottom option is to repeat the task when the first task has been completed. So for a task like empty bins, that needs to be on a fixed schedule because the binmen come on a certain day of the week. Whereas something like jet washing the driveway, well, that doesn't need to be done on a given day. And I'm probably going to want this to repeat a month after its completion, but not the same day each month. Now, because this is the empty bins task, I'm going to go back here, select on a fixed schedule, and let's say that the bin collection day is every Friday. I'll select, and the task is gone. It's like disappeared and I can't do anything with it. So by setting this task to repeat on a given schedule, it's now hidden. I can't see it, which is good in essence, because when I look at this list of things that I could do, well, the thing that I can't do isn't actually there distracting me. Now, to see this hidden task, I need to go to the note that contains it. And here at the bottom of the note in the hidden section, we can see that this task has indeed been hidden. I'll click on the expansion button to show the details. And here under hide until, we can see that it's hidden until the task is due. Now I can change this just by clicking, and then I'll simply delete on the keyboard. It now moves from the hidden section across to the main note once more, which should mean that when I go to tasks now, it is indeed back, ready for us to work on if needed. Let's go back into this task now and check the other options. So we can set a reminder for the task, which is going to come up before the start at time here. So either 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, or a day. I'll set this to 15 minutes. And then you can manually configure the hide parameters here. So how long do you want to hide the task for? And you don't have to select these defaults. You can enter your own values here. Now under the hide until is the priority toggle, and this follows the Eisenhower methodology for prioritizing tasks. If a task is deemed as important when you configure it, then you believe that it corresponds with your short or long-term goals. If a task is marked as urgent, then you believe that something bad is going to happen if this task doesn't get completed soon. Now we're going to cover task score up here very shortly in more detail. However, watch what happens when I mark this task as important, then important and urgent. This score goes up. And this task score is there to help you prioritize your task list when it starts becoming large and more unwieldy to navigate. Well, I'll just uncheck these, and the score changes accordingly. Now the same happens down here with the task duration. We can select different durations that we think the tasks are going to take to complete. And as I flick between them, the task score modifies accordingly. And like I say, we'll cover that score individually shortly when we talk about action in these tasks. For now, I just want to complete covering getting them into Amplenote and configured. Onto the iOS version of Amplenote now, and there is actually a quick way to be able to get your tasks into Amplenote here. And we can see that I'm in the tasks section, and it's the same account as I'm using on the Mac, so it's synced across nicely as denoted by this cloud icon up here. And at the bottom, we have a quick to-do field, which when I click, allows me to enter the name of a task. Now, Simba, whilst being a lovely puppy most of the time, really needs to start doing as he's told. So we need to get some training sorted for him. So I'll type that in here. And we can see that above, we can choose the note that the task is added to. So remember, it's got to live somewhere, and it can't just sit here in tasks because there's nowhere for it to go. And the place that it has to live is a note. So I'll tap the drop down here. And a list of existing notes is here. And at the top, I can look to create a brand new note to put this task in. So I'll select that. And I can choose a start time here if I wish, which I think I will do. I'll go for tomorrow. Now I'll tap add. And it appears at the top of the list. Now, my keyboard does stay open though, because I can add another task in quickly now if I wish. But I'll tap away though. And then I think I'll expand this task now just to show you how the details look on iOS. So all of the options are the same here. There's nothing new. The task score is just in a much smaller form factor. It's almost hidden down here. And I think I'll set a couple of options. So I'm going to set this task as urgent, because if we don't sort it, something bad will happen. Trust me. And I'll put a reminder in. And then lastly, I think I'll put in a duration as well. So let's say this will last 15 minutes. Now, because we put this task into a brand new note, that note isn't configured at the moment. And here to the right of the dismiss and delete task options is the name of the note that houses this task, and it's currently untitled. So I'll tap. And then I'll tap on the title. So I'll give this note a name. And I think I'll give it a tag as well. Let's just go for Simba. And before I get the comments, yes, I know that Simba is effectively a cat's name, but I was heavily outvoted. I wanted Scamp. just like I wanted to have for a son at some point. But I'm a lone male in a house full of females, so I never win anything. So Simba it is. And there we are. That's entering a task on iOS. Now, all good task managers usually come with some form of inbox to collect any tasks that come in. And whilst Amplenote doesn't have a dedicated inbox per se, it certainly has enough tools for you to create one that works the way you would like. So I just spend a couple of minutes here showing you a very quick and easy way to set up a dedicated inbox in Amplenote, although you can feel free to build on this yourself. Now, the inbox is going to work on the premise that as soon as you open the application, you want to have some form of inbox in front of you that's going to collect these tasks. So I'm going to start by creating a new note. I'm going to call this note inbox. And I'm going to give it a couple of tags. So one is going to be to do, and then another one will be inbox. Next, I'm going to come back across to the Jots section that displays all of my tags down here. And what I want to do is I want to see both inbox and to do here. Okay, now I've got them both in shot. I'm just going to drag, and I'm going to make the inbox a child tag of to do. Now, I don't have to do this particular bit, but it just makes things a lot more neat and logical for me. Now, when I click on the inbox tag, I can see that we've got two jots or links to notes that appear. Now, one is a daily jot for today's date. So anything that I type in here will create a new note. And then below that, of course, I have the inbox note that I've just created. Now, I'm going to click the star to make this tag a shortcut now. And that means that when I come up to shortcuts, I can see this tag grouping in here. Now, the gold star that's next to daily jots means that this is the default shortcut. So whenever you come to this jot section from another area of Amplenote, that tag is what's going to be displayed. So I'm going to change the default now to to-do/inbox, and I'll do that by clicking the star icon to the left. So now if I come across to another page, say calendar, and then back to jots, as you know, that's not going to work, is it? Because I didn't actually select another tag before I moved. Okay, let's do that. I'll click this old default shortcut here, daily jots. Now I'll go to another section. So let's go to calendar again. And then back to jots. And sure enough, we're at the inbox tag. And now I'll just click on the inbox and start typing in some tasks. So square brackets, then buy tickets for Black Widow. And press enter. Then I'll type the next one. And I'll just pause now while I start filling up this inbox with tasks. Okay, I've loaded up the inbox with some tasks now, and for some of you, this may just be enough. As long as you have somewhere to collect them, then you can build on them as you wish. However, for most of you, you may want to move these, though, away from this inbox note so that you can keep this inbox clean and move them into another note that is better suited for the task. And moving tasks is very easy within Amplenote. Now I'm going to type an exclamation mark and then the word move. And if I press enter, I can find a note that I would like to move this task to. I just need to start typing. And then when I have the one that I want, I press enter. The task disappears from this note and it will be found in the home maintenance one. Okay, let's do that again with this next task. I'll type exclamation mark and move. I'll press enter. And then this one is going to go into my business maintenance note. Okay, let's look at the next one as I process this inbox. Now, this one I'm going to keep in my inbox, but it's not due yet at all. It's something that I want to do, and I do want to be reminded of it, but not just yet. I just want to be reminded in a few days, perhaps. So what I'm going to do here is type exclamation mark and then hide. And I'm prompted for how many days I would like to hide it for. So I'll say 7. And the task is gone, but it's only hidden. So in 7 days' time, it's going to reappear here. If you don't have an existing note to move a task to, then you can create one. Now on this crypto wallet task here, I'll type exclamation mark and then move. Then I'll press enter. And all I'll do here is start typing the name of a new note. And we can see here that if I press enter now, the task will be moved to a new note called crypto. And it will also maintain the current tags, which are to do/inbox. Now if I just hover over the tags here, then a popover appears saying that if we add a tilde to the beginning of the link text, then this tag will be dropped. And I don't want those tags here, so let's try that. I'll come to the beginning of a text, press the tilde key, and those tags have disappeared. Now I'll press enter. I'll come across to notes, and I can see the new note called crypto, so I'll select it, and we can clearly see those tags were indeed dropped. Now I've paused here and gone ahead and created a bunch of tasks with various levels of complexity so that we can look at the task score in a little more detail. So the task score helps to fill a hole that is left by other note-taking and even some dedicated to-do list applications, in that when you don't know what you should do next, Amplenote can tell you. So first of all, on the left of the task name, we can see some color coding. We have red, gold, blue and grey. So if the task score is 10 or over, it's going to have a red color code. 5 or higher is gold, then we have 2 or higher for blue, then anything less is grey. I'm going to open up a task here to look at how we can manipulate the score. So empty bins here has a high task score of 16.6. Now let's look at how that's composed. So it's got a start date of today, which does give it some points. Now if I remove that, we can see it goes straight down to gold at 6.6. So anything due today will be a red task, because that on its own is worth 10 points. Okay, I'm just going to put it back to today's date now. Now, what happens if I remove the urgency of the task? Well, that reduces the score by 3, and the importance reduces by 0.6. Okay, further down now. Duration, whilst you wouldn't think this would have an impact, well, it actually does. Now, if you set the task up and put a duration on it in the first place, it's generally a sign that you thought it was reasonably important, because let's be honest, the majority of the time we don't put task durations in. So just the presence of one offers a score. Now, the highest score is for the quick win, which is at 15 minutes. Then as I click 30 minutes and then 60, the score goes down. So it definitely promotes the quicker wins rather than the longer tasks. And it should be noted that the score will also increase the longer the task note has been open. If you want to dismiss or delete a task, then this can be done at the bottom of the task details here. So what's the difference between the two? Well, if a task is not needed anymore, then you can dismiss it for half of the accumulated score, whereas deleting it will simply delete all history of it from your Amplenote structure. Now, as your tasks grow here, you may want to have more than just a flat list of tasks. So you can sort and group them using the 3 dots up here. So I'll click them. And we have options for grouping the tasks by the note that they reside in. So I'll flick that toggle switch, and I can see the home maintenance tasks are grouped, the anniversaries ones, the business maintenance, and so on all the way down. They're all here, and I do like this view. Now, if your notes relate to certain key projects, then this is a really good setting to have. Okay, I'll just click once more. And also, once that's selected, we can change the sort order for these as well. So usually the notes are listed in the order that they were modified, but we can change to when they were last opened, to the date they were created, or a straight alphabetical sorting. So that covers the sorting of the groups, but for the actual tasks within the groups, the default is to sort by the task score, which does make perfect sense, and I don't think you're going to really need to change that too often. But if you do, you can sort these by age or by the start time. Now, of course, you won't see hidden tasks here by default because, well, they're hidden. But if you do want to see them, then flick this switch just here. Now, I seem to remember I hid one in my inbox earlier, so if I scroll down, I can't even see the inbox note or task here. So I'll click, and there we are, it appears. And I can see that it's hidden because of the I with the slash through it. So as I hover over that, I can see the date that it's been hidden until. Now, Amplenote is able to support subtasks. So if you have a task here that you want to house various other tasks beneath, then that's completely doable. I'm going to pick a task here. Let's go for buy anniversary presents. I'm going to click the drop down. And I can go directly to the source note of this task by clicking on the note name, which is just to the right of delete task here. Now I'll select an existing task that I've got, and I'll press enter to create a task below it. And then to indent that, I'll hit the tab key, and this will create a subtask. So I'll key in the title, research 15-year presents. Yep, we're 15 years strong this year. And that's sad because I know it's going to be an expensive one, because that's Crystal. Crystal is the theme, and she's had her eye on some crystal bits for years that I've now got no excuse to not get. So I'll press enter, and I can type another subtask in here just below. So subtasks are completely catered for. Now, just popping back to the theme of sorting quickly, and I can sort the tasks here in this individual note. I don't need to be in a task view to be able to sort things. Let me come down to this anniversary card task. I'm going to modify this by giving it a start date of today. We can see that that's red. It's actually in the past because it's after 7 a.m. at the moment. But if I come up here to this sort button, which is next to the task button on the formatting bar here, then clicking that will sort the task list based on the task score. On to the last part of the idea execution funnel now, and that's the calendar. So once you've had your ideas, you've expanded them and made them whole, you've turned them into tasks where applicable, well, you're going to need to action them, and that's where your calendar is key. I'm going to go at this calendar with a completely blank slate and set things up from the beginning. So to get into your calendar preferences, we need to click here. And that's where we edit something called a task domain. Now, this is a great feature, seriously, because at its simplest, it allows for you to separate your work self from your home self. And if you work at home, as many of you do, that's a really important thing to be able to do. So I'll click, and we move into the calendar configuration settings. Now at the top here, we can add external calendars to Amplenote so that any events that you create externally will appear in your Amplenote calendar and vice versa. And we'll cover those off soon, but for now I want to enable task domains, so I'll click the enable button. And at the time of recording, Amplenote supports 3 different task domains, and by default they're called miscellaneous, personal and work. And we can associate different notes and tags to each task domain so that when we click on that particular calendar, we will only see either our personal, work or miscellaneous tasks. So to specify the notes that you'd like this task domain to reference, click on add a note, and then start typing the name of the one that you want to add. So I'll select home maintenance, and I'll add another as well. So let's go for anniversary. And you can do the same with your tags as well. So I'll just pick a random one here to go with. And another, let's do home. Now I'll cover connected calendars soon when I add an external calendar in, but down to work. And you don't have to keep the default name of the task domain. So click the pencil and change it to something that you prefer. Click save. And I'm going to add some notes to this one as well. So I'll add the business maintenance one. Down here, I'll add the business tag. Once again, I'll look at adding an external calendar soon, but I will click on advanced settings though here. And in here, we can select the default duration of events as well as the default reminder time that will appear prior to a task or event taking place. You can also hide this particular task domain from view. I'll just close this. And I am going to pause now and add an external calendar because there's nothing really interesting to see there other than me entering credentials for an Office 365 account. And sadly, there is no iCloud calendar integration here at the moment. Okay, I have added an Outlook or Office 365 calendar into Amplenote, and I can associate that calendar with a particular task domain. So I'll come down to business, and if I click here, I can select the calendar. Then next to it, I can determine whether Amplenote can show events and publish tasks or just show events. So essentially, is it going to have read and write or just read access? Then I'd click connect calendar to complete. For now though, I'm just going to come back into notes and then into calendar and take a look at what we've configured so far. So in the top left-hand corner, we have 2 tabs, one for each of the task domains that we've configured. The miscellaneous one doesn't have any notes associated, so it doesn't appear here. Now I can switch between them, thus offering that differentiation between home mode and work mode. And on the far right, we can see all of the tasks that are currently forming part of this task domain. There are 3 views to the calendar, so we're in the single day view right now. And to the right of that, we have the week view. And then next to that is the monthly view. The recurring tasks, such as empty bins, appear clearly each week. Now myself, I like the weekly view best, so I'll cut across to that. Now adding a new task in here is very simple. I can double click on the time slot that I'd like to add the task to. And as I do that, in the bottom right-hand corner, I can select the note that the task will refer to. Now in here, you will only see the notes that were defined as part of the task domain earlier. So if I search for a different one that I know exists, I know there's a Simba note somewhere, we can see that it won't appear. I'll just put it back to home maintenance. Now, the date and time below is also pre-filled, of course, but these can still be changed. And then below that, we'll type in the name of the task. The task has been added, and if I want to undo that, I'll just click undo here. Alternatively, you don't need to click on a date and time. There is a quick to-do field in the bottom right where you can just type in the name of the task that you wish to add. You can leave it at that, or you can add yourself a date, a section of a day, so morning, afternoon, evening, as well as, of course, a specific time. Then just click add to place it in. And as I scroll down, there it is. I can drag and drop it to a new time if I wish. Now, if I want to remove this from the calendar and leave it unscheduled, I can long press on it and drag it across to the right-hand pane. I won't though. Instead, I'll double-click on it so that I can edit the task details directly rather than go back, of course, to the tasks view. Now, the task score isn't as important here because you've already given it a start time, so that's here at the bottom in quite small print. But any changes that you make to the task details will, of course, still affect that score. Right, I'm in the business task domain now, and I've got 3 tasks associated with this. Now, these are all unscheduled, and they don't appear in the calendar in any way. So to schedule one, I can select it on the far left-hand side of it and then drag it across to a date and time slot. It now disappears from the right-hand pane because it's unscheduled, it's in hand. Now let's do the same for these others. So send out invoices, I'll schedule that here. And then prepare self-assessment can go down here. Okay. Now up here we have 2 buttons that allow us to filter the notes and the tags that will appear in this pane. So I'll click. And I can see there is only 1 note in this task domain at the moment. If there were any others, they would be listed here. And they can be activated or deactivated with the check button. So let's add some more. I can do that from here by clicking Edit Notes. And then down here, I'll scroll to click Add a Note. And as before, I'll just search for one to add. So let's go for App Mastery because I need to keep on top of apps in order to produce this content. Right, now I'll go back across to the calendar. Now we can see there's 1 more task that is unscheduled. Research how to use Bunch. Now when I click on the Notes filter, we can see there are 2 there now. And I could uncheck the App Mastery one if I didn't want to show any tasks from that note in here. And that's very handy if you have notes that are dedicated to projects that have either stalled or held for a while and you just don't need to refer to them here. Right, let's pop across to Personal now. And in the right-hand pane again, let's just go through how these tasks are sorted. So on the left, they're sorted by task score here. But we can also sort by most recent or just sorted in a random order. And then in the top right-hand corner, there's a little circle with a number 4 in it. Now that shows the tasks or the number of tasks that are currently overdue. And clicking it will highlight those tasks, making them easier to identify. Now, I paused the recording because I wasn't too happy with what I saw when I connected my 365 calendar. An external calendar synchronization is a really important part of this application. Now, when I went to add it to the business task domain, it didn't work properly. And I disconnected and reconnected my 365 calendar, but there was still no joy. So I connected a Google Calendar instead. And as with most things Google, because it does cloud services really well, it just worked. So I'd like to show you how that works for a couple of minutes. Now, I'm coming down to the connected calendars in the business task domain here. And as I select a calendar, we can now see there is a selectable option under the Google one. There isn't, however, for the Outlook one. I need to go away and work that one out, but I'll select it. I'll leave it with read and write access and then click Connect Calendar. Now I'm going to go back across to Notes and to Calendar. And there are 3 tasks in here scheduled. Now I'm going to switch across to the Google Calendar that we've connected to. And I've only just connected this calendar to the business task domain. So I'm not expecting the events from there to show up just yet. Although the synchronization is pretty quick. Now this calendar is empty. So I'm just going to create a very quick event in here. I'm going to play golf and then click save. Now I'll switch across to, wait, let me just dismiss these notifications. Okay, now I'll switch across to Amplenote. And there is nothing there now, but if I hit Command and R to refresh the browser, Sure enough, that Google event appears with the Google icon in the top right-hand corner to show where it's originated from. Let's just pop back across to check that Google Calendar. Nothing there yet, but I may just need to make a change in Amplenote to sort of kickstart a sync in this direction because it hasn't done that for the first time yet. So let's choose a task and just make a quick modification. Do that here. And now this researching bunch one, I think I'll just get that out and schedule it there. Now back across to the Google Calendar. And it looks like I was being impatient. Sure enough, there are the Amplenote tasks in there scheduled in. And as I speak, there is the bunch one synchronized across OK. To close, I would just like to point you to the Help Center that is hosted on Amplenote's site. Now, lots of applications have FAQ sections or links to articles that help you to get the feel of the application. But I have to say, this Help section here has a lot of information in it, ranging from getting started through to some very detailed workflows. Now, my brief, as ever, is to give an overview of an application to give you enough to get started. But as you can see here, there is a lot that you can really get to grips with if you have the time and inclination. And there are some great articles that will advise you on how to structure your tags in particular. Pretty much everything is covered here, including publishing content, which sadly I was unable to cover on this occasion. So there we are. That's Amplenote. Another player in the note-taking arena, but that definitely has some nuances in it that set it apart from some competitors. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week with some more videos. So we'll see you then.